Hello, friends. It's another delightful day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. The overall theme for the year is Samatvam, being essentially yourself, being the same, finding equanimity, no matter what is going on around you. So, speaking of this, I would like to remind folks, I've mentioned this a couple times, I will be in Phoenix, actually Scottsdale, Arizona, coming up. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, I'll be there. I will be doing I'll be doing the live program at the same time. So it's 8:15 a.m. Cleveland time. It'll be 5:15 a.m. Phoenix time, but it's going to be the same for you all. And I'm mentioning this especially because I don't know what kind of quality of internet connection I'll have, especially going outside. I will be doing the sadhana. I will, whether you can see me or not. And if you can't find me or see the video, this is going to be a great time to practice your equanimity. Can you keep going without me there to inspire you? And if you can't find the video and you go, what happened? Where is it? Notice if you can practice equanimity, and if you forget and you're looking and you're whatever, and then you remember, notice what you do. That's what we're talking about today. We're going through the Gita again, this time focusing on its descriptions of Samatvam, so that we can have more practical guidance for how to encounter it in our lives. And let's see how good your memory is talking about remembering all these things. Oh, one other thing I wanted to remember to tell you is it's not solstice here, but sunrise is already getting later in Cleveland. It stopped for a while, now it's getting later. It's still longer at the other end. Very interesting. Okay, memory. One of the things that Krishna is talking about in chapter 4, we've moved on to chapter 4, is the idea of memory and what we would consider its opposite, forgetting. And I was going to do something different, but with the theme, I'm going to ask you if you can remember back to day 54, those of you who've been here every day, and I know there are some of you who have. Do you remember the story about Karna and his weapon? And if you can't, it's okay. But this is what our Krishna is talking about to Arjun today. In chapter 4, verse 5, Krishna says, Arjuna, you and I have had many births and many deaths. I remember them all, but you do not remember, scorcher of foes. Remembering and forgetting. Many of us would see these as two opposite ends, and many of us react quite differently to people who remember and to people who forget. I, in my life, especially as I progress in years, and probably many of you have encountered friends, loved ones, acquaintances that used to be able to remember things, and now they cannot. And it's so interesting for me to watch how I react to that. It's not equanimitous. And similarly, when I forget things, I go, oh, I forgot. I forgot to say who I was dedicating this practice to, by the way, which is, once again, like on day 54, all those with memory deficiencies. Or, look, I remembered to do that. Yay. A lot of times when we forget something, we go, what's wrong? And it can indicate a malfunctioning of our human structure, especially the brain, which many of us rely upon for memory. The body, it's said in yoga physiology, also carries memories, like scars, for example. But why do we get so bent out of shape over remembering, forgetting, remembering, forgetting, remembering, forgetting? If So to reiterate the story I told on day 54, during the battle of the Gita, Arjun's archenemy, Karna, whose name you may or may not remember means ear, his archenemy Karna had this weapon that nobody could resist, not even Arjun himself. And toward the end of the battle, Karna actually does use this weapon, but he has to use it on another foe that's just running amok, and all of his fellow soldiers are going, please stop this person. Forget about Arjuna. He's not causing us any trouble right now. Stop this weird, magical, demonic being that's ravaging our forces. And Karna did. And afterward, Krishna said, it's a good thing that Karna used his weapon on somebody else today. And Arjun says, I can't for the life of me understand why, if he had this weapon, he didn't use it on me earlier in the battle. And Krishna says, because I made him forget. Well, when we look at it that way, and actually later in the Gita, Krishna does say to Arjuna, from me comes both memory and its loss. So from these two seemingly opposite experiences, there's actually a commonality. Krishna, our true self, our soul. Memory, in many other traditions, is said to be released consciously at certain times. There's a river in Greek mythology specifically for that you drink so that you forget all the struggles, all the conflicts of the past, and can start anew, can start afresh. So today I'll invite you to notice, do you remember that story from day 54 so long ago? It's almost day 180, holy cow. Or are you going, I can't remember that. And what's your reaction either way? Because the true soul itself is beyond memory and forgetfulness, and in fact, influences them in us. What we need to know will come to us. And maybe we can see that in others too. What they need to know will come to them. What they're experiencing might be a lesson for them. It can also be a growing for us. Let's see, can you remember what we do? And can you remember modifications, adaptations, variations to take care of yourself as we start with our balance pose? Let's find out. Oh, I always forget to turn the camera up. I remembered. Equanimity. Switch. For today's contemplation, what we did recently with one of the senses is to be aware of sensory experiences around you. Like, for example, if you like to listen to things, just listen and notice who is doing the listening. That there are all these sounds going around. Then we label or judge the sounds, and we got to notice who is doing that labeling and that judging. Because the sound itself doesn't have anything good or bad, it's our judgment. So I encourage you to contemplate a time when you've remembered or forgotten, a time when someone you know has remembered or forgotten. And notice if you can connect to the idea of who is doing the remembering and forgetting. Who is the true self underneath the memory? Let's investigate. Excuse me. Welcome back. I hope that exploration was useful for you. Forgetting can be a boon. I'm thinking about going out to Phoenix, and I really wish my body could forget as soon as it gets there that there's a 3-hour time difference, because I wake up 3:30 or 4:30 here generally in the summer. I'll be up at 12:30 or 1:30 going, what? But then I'll be ready for bed by 5 Phoenix time. And then I hope when I come back, my body forgets again and I'm right back into it. So we'll see. I hope I do remember to see you tomorrow. Until then.